Hey, 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 everybody. How's it going, Bobby?
It's going pretty good this morning. How we doing, Jimbo?
I'm doing pretty good. Our first episode of Practical Nonsense.
Yes, it's practically wonderful.
Yeah, the nonsense that you can't live without. You can't afford to live without. We're going to talk about all kinds of things that really don't matter in life. Or maybe they do. I don't know.
They matter to somebody. They might even matter to us.
You never know. But this is Practical Nonsense. This is episode 1 of our first podcast, streamcast, livecast, whatever you want to call it. Eventually, we'll be out on Shopify. I want to be able to put us out there so that we can obviously build up an audience. And I don't know if you can see the chat there, Bob, but if you can, there's some people saying hi to you.
Very good. Good morning. I haven't seen it yet, but
you may have to click on where it says comments or something. I don't know. I'll put that up so you can see it. There's Danny Dizzle, the Fizzler Spectacular supporter, is here. Danny's a friend of the Astute Tourist, as well as Uncle Scugga Radio. But we're Our show is produced by the Uncle Scugga Radio Network, which is more like a radio station here, a live radio station. So you're doing well. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Good to be here. It's like this is my first go at this. So I'm totally virgin in this whole process, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having some great conversations.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And it's something I wanted to do. I mean, you're familiar with the live stream that I do and with the other channel. I want this to totally be different than any of that. I was hoping that we could just sit here. We're not going to talk about any specific topics per se, like I do on the other with the live stuff. It's mostly travel and that. We're not a travel channel. This is nonsense. This is it's really just a show about everything and nothing.
And trying to use my ADHD for good.
Right? Yeah, we've finally been able to find a useful way to employ your ADHD.
Find my way.
Yeah. So,
because of it.
So you and I have been friends for how long?
1982. Does that sound right? Either 81 or 82.
Maybe in 81.
The summer of 81. What was the summer that you met your wife?
That would be 81.
So that's the same summer.
Yeah, because I met her and I met you that same summer.
Yeah.
So, I actually met you in school. It was right before we got out for that year. That would have been my junior year of high school.
Right.
And I think that's because I was playing music with some guys and they were jamming with you and our other friend Dave.
Yeah.
And they invited me to come over to play the bass. And that's really the first time I ever played the bass because I was a guitar player as well.
Right. And you didn't have one. And
no.
We built you one.
Yeah. Well, first there was that hollow body, that Aria Pro 2 that we stuffed full of your socks or somebody's socks to keep it from feeding back. That's a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And different body on it, which didn't weigh as much as the neck. Remember that? We put like a pine body on it or something. And when you let go of it, the neck just hit the floor. Jimbo froze up on me.
Yeah, we froze up for a minute.
Not a worry.
That can happen,
but the good old days, we did a garage band deal for that whole summer. Then we ended up playing a few places. We played a party for our friend Sean in his barn. Remember that? Oh
yeah, that was it. That was interesting. Yeah, Sean had that barn out in the country that was when we were in school. It was, everybody be like, hey, where's the party this weekend? Where's the party? Well, it was always pretty much.
And he literally, like you would see in the movies, he literally, his parents are gone for the weekend and the kid has a kegger.
Right.
I mean, he literally was doing that. It wasn't pretend. He literally is having a huge keg party. I think pig roast too, if I'm not wrong. I think
there were a few of those toga parties and pig roasts, and
then mom and dad came home early. Remember that? Just shut the power. We were playing in the barn. Shut the power. Right
in the middle of our set, the power goes off.
There'd been 200 people there,
and we could hear his mother calling him, "Sean!" It's like, oh shit, Sean, you're in trouble now. Yeah, those were the days. You and I have been friends ever since. So that's 40 plus years ago, 44 years ago.
4 years, yeah. You say it like
goodness,
that,
buddy.
It makes me feel old.
Yeah, well, we are old. 61 is old. You're not quite 61 yet.
No, not for a few more months. You're 6 months ahead of me.
Yeah.
So we've got.
Well, I'm more decrepit than you are, so I got that going for me.
And it seems like our friendship's always after we did our band stuff together, I went in the service, and then you started focusing on your career, and then we just kept like always intersecting, always throughout life, and yeah, you know what? It's a wonderful thing when you have old friends, because you get to a certain age, like we might be at that age now. We really, well, I can't grow any more old friends.
No.
I can't grow any more old friends. So it's I don't want to say bittersweet. It's just a wonderful thing to have a lifelong friend. But at some point you face that they start to go away one by one. But
yeah, I mean, we've already lost some friends, unfortunately, and we're it's part of living, I guess. We're going to lose some more, but I hate talking about that kind of stuff because I just don't want to. I don't want to draw any attention to that. It's right. The good times that we want to talk about,
But I only mention it because it strengthens the bond that you have. It makes those friendships more precious and mean more because, you've got so much more of your life invested into that,
Right.
I tell you what.
What's that?
I'll flip it into a positive, okay? Speaking of losing people, we recently lost Lonnie Anderson, right?
Oh, yeah, we've lost a few.
But the other day, Lonnie Anderson passed away, and people talking about, she was on WKRP in Cincinnati, and I looked into it, and there are 4 original cast members that are still alive, okay? And that's Les Nessman, whose real name is Richard Sanders.
Yeah.
Venus Flytrap is 80. His name's Tim Reed.
Yeah, Tim Reed. Yeah.
And then Andy Travis, who was the program director, he's 79. The 4th person, to be your delight, because I think you thought this person was deceased, Jan Smithers, who played Bailey. She is still alive.
Bailey.
She is still.
She is. I thought she passed away.
Jan Smithers is her real name. She was famously married to James Brolin.
Yeah, she's still. I had a big crush on her during that show. Everybody liked Lonnie. It was kind of like, and you pointed this out the other day. It's like the Ginger and Marianne thing, on Gilligan's Island. But Bailey was hot, man.
Do you think even as a young man watching Gilligan's Island, you liked Marianne because she seemed more gettable?
Yeah, or more wholesome, Yeah,
well,
I mean,
they did a good job of that sharp contrast. The movie star, all glamour to the, she looks like
not to pick on Ginger, but she looked like she'd been passed around, the producer's office or whatever. And then there's Marianne, the good old farm girl that's making coconut cream pies.
Yeah. It was a good contrast, and they used it again, in WKRP. Another thing I found out, I don't know if you recall this, but there was always a big controversy whether WKRP was connected to the movie FM. Now, do you remember that movie, Martin?
I do remember FM, sure.
Like the same year that KRP came out, and it was a similar concept, but they're not connected.
Not connected, no. One of the episodes I remember was when they did the great turkey drop there or whatever for Thanksgiving.
They dropped frozen turkeys out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or were they live turkeys? I don't remember. Maybe they were live turkeys.
I don't remember. We're going back to the 70s, man.
I think they called up the phrase, the humanity of it all, or something like that.
Yeah, Les Nessman, he was the roving on-the-spot reporter, I think, during that. Wasn't he the weatherman or something originally on the show? Yeah,
he was the weatherman. And that show only ran for 4 years, and it seems like it ran longer. It seems like it was around for a long time.
I think some of those shows back there that had they had a lasting memory, they didn't last long. I mean,
Gilligan's
shows like
Island.
Sanford and Gilligan's Island. Star Trek. I mean, that's a little before that, but the original Star Trek only had, I don't know, 2 or 3 seasons maybe.
Right.
But they've been played over in syndication.
Yep.
People, and that spawned a whole franchise of stuff. But I mean, Gilligan's Island, for what it's worth, they had a couple comeback movies and
right. Like the Brady Bunch did it a few times,
right.
And, tried to bring back the feeling of the old days or whatever it was. Nostalgia. People always love nostalgia.
Hey, if you guys are watching, hit the like button, would you? And that'll help with the algorithm. We are a new show, and we only have just over 100 subscribers on the network. So if you feel so inclined and you want to subscribe, if you're not subscribed to Uncle Scugga Radio already, that'll help us out. But so good shows. Those 70s shows. We sometimes talk about these Sanford and Son and Chico and the Man. Remember that show?
Yeah. What they could
Freddie
get away
Prinze.
with. You think today is so permissive as far as what they allow on television? As far as language and stuff on primetime TV. I mean, that's going to be hard in some situations if you're raising little kids, because I hear like certain words in prime time that I can't believe that they're saying on TV. But on the other hand, the shows that we watch, specifically Sanford and Son, All in the Family, The Jeffersons.
Try doing those today.
The way that comedy centered around racism and stuff, everybody laughed, nobody was offended.
Right.
Got away with it. And today we say, oh, they got away with it. It wasn't getting away with anything. They were just drawing light on what the real pulse of people was, or how people really were back then.
And they didn't take themselves so seriously. Everybody laughed at everything. Back then is when things were funny and you could be funny. We had you had Flip Wilson and you had Richard Pryor as comedians, and and you and I were young back then. I mean, we were, in our tween ages and then into our teens. Yeah. And to watch the Jeffersons or All in the Family, and nobody was, it's kind of like with South Park now, nobody is immune from getting
Right.
cheesed or having a joke said. And we all thought it was funny. And like you said, nobody got offended. There was, oh my God, like with this American Eagle ad, right? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I don't understand it, but
really?
I don't understand why people are upset about it, other than it's their issue if they're upset about that.
That's it. I mean, I'm not responsible for anybody else's feelings, really. They're your feelings. If your feelings are hurt by something, but keep it to yourself.
Yeah, and you're free to feel that way. However it is you feel, totally free to feel that way. But don't compel me in any way. That's
right.
all.
Yeah. No, don't make me responsible for your feelings. I have feelings of my own that I need to be responsible for. And
that's hard enough.
It's hard enough, and I don't typically get butt hurt over stuff. I mean, I work in a profession where everything is picked on and everything is, but it's all in good fun. Usually your mother is off limits, but everything else, it doesn't matter. And maybe that's the generation we grow up in. I don't know. Because some of the younger generation today, even the ones I work with, they have a tough time taking the joke, especially when it's aimed at them,
Right.
But those were the good days back then. I miss those times. It's too bad we can't go back to them. It's like
progress takes things away.
We need to go back to some of that where people aren't offended, or if you are offended, that's your problem.
Right.
With this Sydney Sweeney thing, I think for the most part, I mean, let's face it, she's a beautiful girl. She's what, in her 20s, and she's the perfect spokesmodel for something like that, clothing and makeup and all of that. She's a pretty girl. Let's face it, there's some people that the ones that are crying and complaining about it are probably these these people that are they're large and running around with blue hair and purple hair and stuff, and all the hardware in their face, and they try really hard to make themselves unattractive. And then if there's someone like Sydney Sweeney who's real pretty, they're going to reach out and say things against her. It's just
Can we say
for everybody?
Can we say the alphabet crowd?
Is that what we're calling them, the alphabet crowd?
Happy with those ads because she's blonde hair and blue eyed. If she was a black girl, they wouldn't say nothing. If she was an Indian girl, they would say nothing. She's blonde with blue eyes. So the alphabet crowd, you refer to them as, the rainbow colored hair with the septum ring, right? That crowd.
And other rings. I mean, they get rings all over the place.
Right. And I don't see labeling people as a bad thing is an issue.
Absolutely.
Then what some people in the world, the alphabet crowd included, they like to label everybody that way. They can get you into a box and they can control you better because you're this. You're not just Jim. You're a cisgender male, something or other, with pronouns and all that other nonsense. And that's just not. That's not. Real. That may be another. Sometimes I feel like somebody slipped here from another dimension, and they brought what their dimension does over here by mistake. And all of a sudden, we get all these people thinking that, if somebody demands that I use their pronouns, you know what I do? I'll say, that's fine, but I demand that you use my adjectives. Handsome. Stuff.
Right. Debonair, handsome.
I don't have pronouns, but I have adjectives and verbs too. Winning.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I just on a note, I don't have a problem with anybody. Those folks or I really don't see color. I don't see any of that until you start to try to push things on me. If you're going to say that I'm bad because I wear this flag on my hat, well, sorry, you're talking to the wrong guy. Because first of all, I don't give a shit, and second of all, that's your problem. If your feelings are hurt because I'm wearing something or I look a certain way, that's not my problem. That's yours.
Right.
We all coexist on the planet, and I end my other live stream. I end it with, you need to be kind to people. Everybody, we're only here for a short time, and you have to be kind and be nice. Everybody's struggling through this thing we call life, and sometimes life can be hard. What was the adage they would say? Life is hard. Wear a helmet.
Right.
But I don't have any issues with any particular group. I mean, I try to love everybody. Now, if there's hate people that are really hating, where they're causing harm to people and injury and pain and that kind of thing, well, I take exception to that. That type of behavior is not acceptable. But look, Beyonce was wearing blue jeans and stuff in an ad, I think, and there was some other people too. Right. It shouldn't be an issue. Everything and everyone are beautiful in their own way, and I think it's just jealousy, and people are hurt, because they don't. Those were the kids that maybe get picked on in high school, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah, everything is ist to them, racist, sexist,
Right.
And I see so many of these people going online going, if you're a white male, don't ever talk to me. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm in trouble because I'm a white male. It's like,
here's the thing. I wasn't talking to you before. So, okay. We're in agreement.
I'm automatically an a-hole because of this one thing, because I'm a white male. So regardless of anything I've achieved in my life or how good I've been to people or what I donate. None of that matters if I'm a white male. I just have to live with the fact that I'm a POS.
Right.
You know, and
it makes zero sense.
I just can't subscribe to any of that nonsense.
Where is the rationale in that, right? It makes no sense. It makes zero sense.
It's just divisive. It's just there's still so many things that divide us, and people love to just build those bridges or build those walls and divide us. And like I said, when you label people, now you're building walls around them.
Right.
And that's just not good, you know. And I really believe deep down in my heart that, imagine all the people living life in peace. That always runs through my brain. If we could just if everybody would think about peace for a moment, we would have it. But we just can't, you just can't get everybody to think about peace at the same time.
Right. Morgan Freeman, I think, he said, you know how to fix racism? You know how to get rid of it? Stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Stop pointing out that somebody's a different color or somebody's this, or, they act this way because of how they are, their gender or their heritage, Stop talking about it. We're all people. Just let's get along,
Right.
That's crazy. He's awesome. I love Morgan Freeman. He's got some of the best. He's got some of the best voice.
Getting up too.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing him. You remember the first time you seen him?
On the Electric Company.
The Electric Company. Who remembers that show?
Yes. Well, there was Sesame Street. Then there was Zoom. And then there was
Zoom. I think wasn't Zoom more of a local thing for us though? That was a Boston show.
And I believe Rita Moreno was also on the Electric Company, if I'm not.
Yeah, because she was the one that went, "Hey, you guys!" Right?
Exactly.
At the beginning of every show, Rita Moreno.
And then how about this? If you saw the original Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, Samuel L. Jackson is in that. He's the guy that tries to rob the Burger King.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, McDougal's.
McDougal's. How cool is that? That's
Eddie Murphy.
So good. Right? McDougal's. See, they got McDonald's and they got the arches, but what if McDougal's had the tartan or something?
The golden arcs or
they had some, I don't know, but that was so good.
It was John Amos.
John Amos, yeah, he was on his TV show there had
Good Times.
Good Times, thank you. Yeah. That was the other 70s show that people just made fun of each other and stuff. With who was it? JJ Jimmy Walker or whatever. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the wife's name was Florida.
Yeah, she was Florida.
Florida.
And John Amos, and then he left the show. He died. They killed him off or something. He had a heart attack on the show. And then he was in McDougal's.
Yeah.
Or Coming to America.
The other thing that always cracks me up is when you see James Earl Jones get out of the limo and he's got the tiger's head on his shoulder, like it's like a scarf or a wrap.
Yeah.
He's got the tiger's head on his shoulder with
he was the king of whatever the country was.
Zamunda, the king of Zamunda.
Zamunda, yes. Yes,
that was a really good movie.
The royal flippity flop is clean.
They've always tried to double up on all those movies, and it's just
look, they did it with the Blues Brothers too. No, look, it's
some movies you just can't.
Yeah, it's like trying to catch what do they say? Trying to catch a comet by the tail or whatever. You just can't do it.
A few. And you got to give credit to the obvious one, which is The Godfather. But in reality, those first two movies, they watch like one movie. It's just like one movie split into two parts. I would say personally, Smokey the Bandit 2 was also, that had Dom DeLuise in it, and where they were transporting the elephant. I felt that was a case where Smokey and the Bandit 2 was just as good as Smokey and the Bandit 1. Die Hard 2, is that as good as the first one?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've never really been a fan of. I mean, it depends. The sequels, some of them you just need to leave alone.
Yeah,
they came and they ended, and that was it. And let's come up with something new.
Especially when they try to do one years later, then it really seems like a desperate, grab for money.
Yeah. Hey, Joe Hupp is with us. Hey, Joe, it's good to see you. We're not getting too many people in. We got 2 people in with us today, but this is what I hope, that over time people will find out about us, and they'll
come in and join the conversation.
They'll watch the whole show. Right now we're talking about sequels that are better or just as good as the original movie. I can't think of too many. I mean, the Star Wars franchise, in my opinion, a lot of that, after the first 3 movies, it just kind of took a nosedive. And you get certain companies involved. When George Lucas kind of left it, and especially now with Disney getting involved in that. But I'm not going to pick on it because a lot of people like that. I'm still a Star Wars fan, but
do you watch? See, I don't watch any of that. I'm not a science fiction type.
Right, you've never been a Trekkie.
The Mandalorian?
I started watching that when it first came out, and it was decent. I haven't seen it in a while. I know it's still running, I think. I dropped Disney, and it wasn't because of any particular reason. It just, we paid for it to watch The Mandalorian. And the whole Baby Yoda thing is just, I don't know. It's hard for me to buy into that. I tried for a while.
I had it so I could watch the Beatles to get back.
Yeah, that was good. That was good that they, Peter, what's his name? Peter, the Hobbit guy there, Lord of the Rings guy. He collected all those old excerpts and videos and that and made a movie out of it. It was good. Yeah, being a Beatles fan, that was good. It was real good.
It was kind of cool to see those guys argued, but they didn't hardly raise their voice.
No,
I couldn't understand. George was getting really mad at one point. It's like, you're not even raising your voice.
Right. I'm surprised they stayed together as long as they did after watching that. But George was the first one to leave. He was the first one that said, "Yeah, no, I'm done.
It's not working." And you know what? Right after the Beatles split up, he put out his first album, Is It All Things Must Pass. That was a double album.
He had all those songs that the Beatles didn't want to produce.
Nope, they just didn't want to. They didn't want to do it, and because, and it wasn't. It might have been ego, but from what I see, John and Paul both saw themselves as they had the responsibility to write the music. They looked at it that way. So
look at wrote so many hits.
When George tried to bring something in, they had to try to John Lennon and Paul McCartney it up.
Right.
When George's songs were perfect the way he wrote them.
Think about it. Here Comes the Sun. All them songs. He wrote a lot of those. And what did Ringo write? Octopus's Garden. I don't even think he wrote that.
Yellow Submarine. He wrote Yellow Submarine, and he wrote it on the piano. All 4 Beatles played the piano, including Ringo. He wrote Octopus's Garden, Yellow Submarine. There's another good Beatles tune that he wrote that I can't remember. But George, when he went solo, his music was different.
Yeah, what was Listen for Your Footsteps Coming Up the Drive?
That was Ringo, but I don't know that he wrote that one.
No. They always stuck him with those kind of comical songs, But
who had a better... McCartney, yes. But other than Paul McCartney, who had a better solo career than Ringo? Who's still doing it?
Ringo's still out there with his all-star band.
He's all-star band.
And he's got guys like Steve Lukather playing guitar. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but He's Peter Frampton as well. Steve Lukather, he's probably most famous in a band with Toto.
Right.
But he's played with everybody. Michael Jackson, everyone.
Underrated guitar player.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize how good of a player Steve Lukather is. On Michael Jackson's Beat It, Steve Lukather plays all the guitar except for the lead that Eddie Van Halen played. And he is the one who told Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones, who made that album, that we need to see if Eddie Van Halen wants to do the lead for this. So, but if you listen to the rest of the guitar work in that song, other than the lead, it's incredible.
He's a great guitar player and songwriter. I mean, producer too. What better than to have someone like him in the studio with you performing? Hey, don't forget to hit that like button, you guys coming in on the replay as well. If you're here for Team Replay, give us a like, shout us out, share out the stream. If you're here with us now live, share it out. Get some people in here and start forming an audience. Get you guys to check us out. Practical Nonsense every Wednesday at 11 a.m.
I will tell you one thing about Toto. There isn't a drummer alive, I don't think, that does not dig the drum beat in Rosanna. That shuffle is just special drum part. It really is. And it's super, those
are these bands that are underrated too. When people talk about bands and, who's your favorite band or who do you think one of the top 10 bands are? There, you never hear Toto come up. You never hear Little River Band, which, honest to God, they're labeled as yacht rock today. But
right,
man, what a bunch of awesome, talented guys.
You're getting into a whole thing here when you talk about those bands in the 70s that all did it the hard way. They lacked the technology and the equipment that people have today. I like to point out vocals. People in the 70s, they sang well. And if you don't believe me, go back and get your Sirius satellite and put it on 70s and listen to Karen Carpenter and listen to Bill Withers.
Ronstadt.
Bill Withers just sang. No echo, no chorus, no delay, no pitch correction. And I'm not picking on anybody because art is art. And if you appreciate an artist for their music, then that's a wonderful thing. But these guys, some of these people that are ultra famous, the Snoop Dogg's and the Kanye West and the Beyonce, they've never, ever recorded a song without pitch correction and without these extra echo and reverb and effects on their voice. And I'm not saying that Beyonce couldn't sing. I'm not saying that
she has a beautiful voice.
It's not in the 70s. Everybody was that. One of the best things I've heard all year was Carrie Underwood singing "God Bless America" at Donald
without
Trump's
the music.
Couldn't get the music going, and she's so good. Right. He just said, "Hey, y'all know the words," and she's amazing.
Yeah, she really is.
If you haven't heard her Christmas album, you need that around the holidays. She's just phenomenal.
Yeah, you're right though. I mean, those before the tech stuff, they had to work and they worked on their instrument, those vocalists, which was their voice. So many. I mean, you mentioned Karen Carpenter. My God, she was a better drummer, I think, than she was a singer.
And her singing's above reproach as well. I mean, you listen to her sing lows. Her lows are rock steady, and this. I think the other day, "We've Only Just Begun" was on, and the opening line of that, it's low. I don't know what key she's in, but she's low, and her voice is no tremble. There's no wavering in it, and that's hard to do at a really low register, I think.
Yeah. It's we don't get a lot of talent much that day, and then bands in particular, like growing up in the 70s. In the early 80s, that's when we started to lose it. But you don't see many bands today. Where are the bands? There isn't any.
Back in the day, in the late 70s and in through the early 80s, if you were a super talented individual, and we've all met these guys that could play guitar, play piano, they could sing, they could write. They know their way around the board. Like these guys are just all around good musicians. Well, they needed other guys. It's just the way it was.
Right.
And today you can go on YouTube. You could do it all yourself. Even if you're not even if you're not Wolfgang, you can, normal guy like you or me, if we had the equipment, we can do all the parts and make a song and do it all ourselves. But
we could do it. You and I are still old school though, because you and I are multi instrumentalists. You can play the drums, you can play guitar, you can sing, you can play the bass. I'm the same way. So we could produce some music with just a multi-track recorder. We could do that. But today they're doing it with samples and stuff. They're not even playing an instrument, and they're producing music, which I don't know if that's, there's some good music that people are producing using samples and stuff, but it's just not the same. That's why you said it, you're getting these people that are sitting in their bedroom or their basement, and there's no bands.
Right.
There isn't any bands. The Led Zeppelins and the Black Sabbaths and those bands are gone. We're not getting that. We're not seeing that being produced anymore, and I miss that.
I believe a lot of the money in the 70s was made by live performances. So the bands were pushed. They worked hard. They were on tour constantly, and when they weren't on tour, they were recording. Right. And the touring and that experience of touring is what fueled the music. So we were the fans. We were the benefit of these guys that spent 2 years on the road playing shows and then had to go back in the studio and write tunes. And all the music, like, it bore those scars. You really feel the emotion in the music back then.
Right.
And it's just not the same today. Remember anticipating an album coming out? I remember when I was a teenager, knowing albums came out on Tuesdays. And I'd ride my bike, to Derry into town.
Yeah.
To go buy a $3, $5, $7 record.
When I was in middle school, Hood Plaza was Hood Plaza, Bobby, but for those that don't know, it was your local, strip mall kind of a place with the supermarket and the department store. My mother on Tuesdays, she would make sure that I had the $3 or the $5 or whatever it was, so I could buy a new album. I would do it every once a week. I'd get a new album, and either the ones that we were anticipating, like at that age, I know I was into Aerosmith and Zeppelin and that. But I discovered bands too. Right. I never heard of Journey, and I bought Journey, an album that they produced before Steve Perry was in the band.
Right. And the good version.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I liked a lot of the early Steve Perry work with Journey too. I mean, who could sing like that guy? There wasn't many vocalists that could sing like him. But yeah, I'm with you, man. An album, a vinyl album, or 45s. You go down and get a
come out like, I can't wait till Tuesday,
right?
And whatnot.
You'd hear a song on the radio and go, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I didn't know that I never even knew they existed,
I was in the Boy Scouts, and every year we did a paper drive, and we set up these 2 tractor trailers at the ball field, and we would drive around town, and people would leave all their paper out, and we'd bring it back and fill these trailers. That was the Boy Scout paper drive. We went to one house, and the lady had put out all this paper, but then she put out 2 giant boxes full of record albums. So I was like, oh, okay. So we got back to where the tractor trailers were, and I took those 2 boxes of record albums, I hid them behind one of the wheels, and then came back and got them. A lot of it was nonsense, but I'll tell you what.
It introduced you to a lot of stuff that you had no idea about.
The Sabbath album was in that stack.
Right.
There was tons and tons of of like early 70s rock, tons of like Paul Revere and the Raiders and Three Dog Night and Creedence Clearwater Revival and all those bands, tons of Chicago. There must have been every Chicago record must have been this. And so I loved that because I think I listened to all of it, even stuff that wasn't like my genre.
Thanks for coming in, Joe. See you Friday. Yeah, I mean, we had paper drives too, but no, we didn't get any record albums, but we used to squirrel away the Playboys and the Hustlers, and that was my first introduction to real naked ladies.
That happened in a lot of Boy Scout paper drives.
Right? Nothing like a 12, 13-year-old take a look at a Hustler. Good God. What a mind-bending event that was. But I mean, you mentioned Black Sabbath, and you and I were talking off camera about Black Sabbath, with the passing of Ozzy recently, and we were like, they were like the first heavy metal band, Black Sabbath, out of the gate in the 60s, ahead of their time.
We were talking about this earlier. There were bands that were heavy. The Who was heavy. The Led Zeppelin was pretty heavy. And even the Beatles with Helter Skelter and a few other things made that attempt to be heavy. But what Black Sabbath brought to the table, I think, was the attitude as well as the heavy. And it was dark. And like almost like if you were a young kid, if you were 10 years old and you put that first Black Sabbath album on, and the first track, that's like almost scary.
Right. Well, and then we were saying that it's dark music. And I can remember my mother and my father going, "That's satanic music. Why are you listening to that?" And it's like, it's not satanic. There's nothing satanic about it. Look at him with the upside down cross, and that's sacrilege.
What is this that stands before me? Like
with the bell ringing in the background and
Bill Ward on the drums, brother.
Nobody could touch him. Nobody was doing that. I mean, and there were, we had the Who, and you had Stones, and even Zeppelin came out in '69. Nobody was doing the stuff that Black Sabbath was doing until the '70s. And you think about the bands, I think we mentioned Pantera and some of them other ones that followed in their footsteps. There wasn't any real heavy metal bands until, and I don't know when that term was coined. I don't even think they were called heavy metal when they first come out. But
no, I believe, and we'll have to look in this. I believe a Rolling Stone coined the term heavy metal, and they might have even been referring to Deep Purple, but it was one of those bands. Black Sabbath certainly invented the genre, and then it was named.
Hell yeah.
It was named later after, but.
But look at some of the bands that we got as a result of them. Like we mentioned, Judas Priest and
the British metal
Ronnie
band.
James Dio.
How about the Scorpions from Germany?
Scorpions.
I mean, those guys I don't think we'd have Van Halen either without those guys, So Van Halen very much influenced by Cream and Led Zeppelin, but here's the thing: they always played, and I can't remember which one. They always played a Sabbath tune in their set before they got discovered. Before their first album came out, and it was off of Volume 4, which is my personal favorite. But they always did a Sabbath tune. So Eddie certainly. The heaviness of it, I think the music, it was so weighty and so full, and like I said, spooky, a little scary maybe, but full force. And I mean, if you want to go and listen to some Black Sabbath for yourself, pick yourself up a copy of Sabbath Volume 4 and get a drink and sit down and relax. That's what I say.
That was my first Sabbath album, was Volume 4.
Yeah, I mean, at that concert, at Ozzy's show that they did a few weeks ago, have you heard of the band Mastodon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mastodon, they were one of the first bands. And every band, they did one or two of their own tunes, and then they did a Sabbath tune. Well, Mastodon did Supernaut, which is one of my absolute favorites from Volume 4, and they killed it.
Yeah, and absolutely. Good stuff. Real good stuff. I remember some of the first music that I learned on guitar was some Sabbath stuff. Or so somebody was saying, what was the first song you learned? And I think it was either sort of learned. It was either Chicago, the intro to what's the song?
Oh yeah, 24.
Yeah, 25 or 64, I think. And one of the Sabbath songs I learned the whole way through when I first had guitar. Hacking it all the way, of course, but
Paranoid was one of the first ones I learned. But
it may have been Paranoid. I forget now. It's been so many years.
The first thing I really remember learning was I learned the intro to Aqualung.
Wow.
And drove my family crazy just playing that forever.
Just playing it over and over. I know my mother would say, "Why do you keep playing that over and over?" I'm like, "Mom, how else am I going to learn how to play it?
I got to get it right."
Yeah, I didn't just pick up the guitar and all of a sudden I know every song.
Notes are one thing, but touch is a whole different. That's why you never hear anybody, even when somebody like Nuno, who's way accomplished, you hear him playing Eddie Van Halen riffs, and you know it's not Eddie playing it. As good as he is, as he tells.
And he's awesome.
He tells a great story about extreme touring with Van Halen, and during sound check, he went up on stage and Eddie said, "Here," handed him his rig.
Yes, I've heard that.
His whole rig, he puts it on. He goes, he says, I was like a little kid. He goes, strapped it on, turned on the volume, started playing. He goes, "Wouldn't you know it? I sound like me."
Yeah. Well, he has another story too that he tells after Randy Rhoads died, him sending an audition tape to Ozzy, and he was like 16 or 14 or something. That's a great story. How he, it reminded me. It gave me thoughts of back when we were young. How excited you would get over music, and here's a kid and a talented guy like Nuno, 14, and he's playing Randy Rhoads leads and stuff. And he sends a cassette tape to Ozzy's management. I guess in the back of one of the music mags, Ozzy had a thing in there. Hey, looking for a guitar player. And he thought for sure, this is my gig. I'm going to get this. I know I will. And, he never heard back. And then years later, they get to tour with Ozzy and stuff and talking about the story and that and how, he never did. Who was it? Was it, who got the job? Was it Jakey Lee, I think, got the job?
Jakey Lee got the job.
Yeah.
And, where would we be if he didn't? Just if you just look at the lead on Bark at the Moon, it was worth having Jakey Lee in the picture.
That first solo album, though, talk about going to the store and anticipating an album. And we were here, back in those days, you would hear the song on the radio before the album came out.
Right.
And I couldn't wait to get down to the department store so I could buy that first album. And we were like, holy crap. It wasn't Black Sabbath. I was expecting it to be like Black Sabbath and nowhere near it. And who is this guitar player guy?
The opening of I Don't Know, which is the first song on that album. It was the first release that was on the radio. It was totally different. And Ozzy sounded better. He was singing better. It was like he had a better attitude as far as the recording of that album.
Sharon deserves a lot of accolades for that because she helped Ozzy get out of a rut. And her father was an exec in some record company or part owner or something.
Managed bands, ELO, some other, and ended up managing.
So she had the know-how prior, and she ended up meeting him, and then they got married. And I mean, she deserves a lot of credit for the start of Ozzy's rebirth. Say again?
Sharon got Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, she did. And he was playing with Quiet Riot, which was just a LA band who nobody knew who they were, really. And
but she got,
and I got to open for them later on in life. I opened for Quiet Riot. Yeah.
That's right. And you traded heads with Rudy.
Not heads, but it was like a cabinet for effects rack thing. I got to meet Rudy Sarzo, who is one of the bass players that I looked up to. He played with Ozzy, I think, at some point.
He was at that gig a few weeks ago. He's looking old, but he's hanging in there. He's doing good.
He's still great. It's hard for me to see our heroes getting old and then, of course, passing on.
Clearly,
and guys like Keith Richards is still going, man. How does he do it?
Clearly, Ozzy's a big one for a lot of people. So many people, and I love the expression that for a guy who was known as the Prince of Darkness, he sure did bring an awful lot of light to people, but because of who he was and how he was, and on top of everything else, all the incredible music that he gave us. I mean, that first Blizzard of Oz album is unbelievable, but you go right up into when he got Zakk Wylde in the band. Oh my goodness, that cat's there's not enough expletives in the world for how good Zakk Wylde is.
He's so good. I got to meet Zakk Wylde.
So did I.
You were with us.
I remember shaking his hand, my whole arm disappeared. The guy's
and I didn't realize how tall he was. I remember looking up at him going, damn, he's a big dude. He's a big man, but humble guy, nice guy. I mean, we didn't really talk to him for long, but we got to meet him, and that was Ozfest, and we saw Black Label Society, and then we saw him perform with Ozzy.
Chevelle, Marilyn Manson, which I'm not a fan, but Marilyn Manson.
Disturbed is a band that I got to hang out with a few times. I actually a local radio station here from Worcester, Mass. They used to be WAAF. They're no longer that, but they had their local Palooza thing, and they had all those bands. And I remember getting I was friends with one of the DJs, and she got us, this all access pass. So we were helping the bands put their stuff up on the stage. And what I remember when the bands were playing, we were hanging out drinking Rolling Rocks with Disturbed at their camper and that, just hanging out with them guys, sitting in lawn chairs. And their guitar guy too, man. I mean, some of them guys are big.
Let me tell you,
coming from a guy who's 5'9".
I love the fact that people tried to say that their vocalist David Draymond was pigeonholed. He only did the one thing. He just did Disturbed. It was all just, it wasn't real. And then he breaks out the Simon and Garfunkel tune and say, "Hey, check this out. I can really sing. I am not just a joke. I can really sing." I love that he did that, because I think there are people out there. I'd really love to hear them. Take away all the effects, and I want to hear you sing. There was a girl who sang the national anthem, I want to say, at an NBA game. I think over this past winter. I remember seeing it. And she's some popular country music singer. I don't know her name. And she destroyed the national anthem. It was embarrassing. She was out of key. She just couldn't do it. It's a hard song to sing, really. Sing the
tough song.
Anthem. It's hard. I always tell people the two hardest songs I ever sang were the national anthem and Happy Birthday.
It's tough.
But this girl,
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Everybody starts on a different key,
Right? Our friend, you and our mutual friend Jimmy Garrity, he does a good job with the anthem.
Oh yeah,
he does. Sing right?
You have
He's done it at Red Sox games and all of that. He's good at it.
Ave Maria a cappella, and I'll never forget he did that at my house and brought my father to tears.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Danny Boy sings that one too.
Yeah. And can really sing. Can really sing. It's not a gimmick. It's not propped up by effects. It's not. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade on if that's what people like. That's the music you like. You know, I'm certainly not trying to say that those artists aren't talented or anything like that. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah.
There is no more Patsy Cline. There's no more Karen Carpenter. But guess what? We've got the girl I was talking about earlier singing "God Bless America," Carrie Underwood.
Oh, Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who's another one like that? Is Kelly Clarkson.
I was just going to say.
That girl can sing anything.
An idol before her was Kelly Clarkson. Yeah. And oh my goodness.
And they got discovered on game shows.
No, American Idol.
Yeah, a game show.
Yeah.
Or a talent show or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Puppy Mill.
Hey, not to change the subject, but is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, man. So meat between two slices of bread is a sandwich. Hamburgers in a bun, a hot dog's in a roll. I mean,
isn't a bun? Isn't that bread?
I get it. It's technically two slices of bread, but they're connected at the bottom or on the side, depending if you get a New England style.
But a hamburger bun's not connected. See, isn't that a sandwich?
So you could get away with calling a hamburger a sandwich, but a hamburger sandwich a patty melt. Now you're going into a whole new area.
I watched this guy on YouTube. Colleen and I discovered him by accident, which is most of the people that we watch. He's this guy, and I'll give him a shout out. His handle is Spanion, and he's this Aussie that he travels around the world and he goes to places. And I think he started out doing like food review, which a lot of YouTubers do or have done. And I forget where I was going with this now, but I know. So a chicken sandwich, they call that a burger in parts of the country.
Oh.
A burger. And I'm like, we don't call it that here in the U.S. It's a chicken sandwich.
Chicken sandwich.
And that's in a hamburger bun.
Right.
But that's a sandwich.
Listen,
so I don't know.
Rolls. We got rolls that are served in a hot dog bun. A lobster roll, clam roll. Is a lobster roll sandwich?
I technically think it's a sandwich. Anything that's in bread.
Here's one thing, right? If you look on a menu and they got sandwiches, don't they also get a separate deal for burgers? I think they always separate burgers from sandwiches on a menu.
I think you're right. I agree.
So there's a basis for an argument there, for at least that a hamburger.
All right. So if a hot dog is a sandwich, or it's not, since we bring up hot dog, is it sacrilegious to put ketchup on a hot dog? I know your answer to this one. I've known you for 45 years.
4 years old, if you're 4 years old, it's okay. Go ahead and put ketchup on your hot dog. The one I can't handle, the one that I emotionally cannot bear, is ketchup on scrambled eggs. I need to leave the area.
You're. I don't mind. Like if I order like a egg McMuffin or something, or not even that. If I get a one of them sausage biscuit ones, I'll put ketchup on that. But I don't typically put ketchup on my eggs.
Yeah, I'm not a huge ketchup fan, but like I will use ketchup sometimes with certain things. But I'm not a huge fan of ketchup. But
ketchup has its place.
Having it anywhere near. If I got a plate with scrambled eggs on it, I don't even really want ketchup on the table.
I like it on a burger. I like it on a hot dog. I'll put it with hot dog mustard and relish. That's how I like my hot dog made.
If I have a super fresh tomatoes out in the garden That's what's good on my burger. And if I put tomato on there, I don't also put ketchup on. But if I have I might put a little ketchup on there if I get no tomato.
So John Gaylor is in the chat. He's from New York, and he mentions submarine sandwich, right?
Oh.
Which here in New England, we shorten it by calling it a sub, right? Let's get a sub. And that could be a sub is just a name for the long kind of French bread roll thing that you fill with all sorts of assorted meats and vegetables and whatever. But
also could be called a hoagie.
Well, so depending on the region you're from, they have different names for it, right? Like a hoagie, a grinder. That's a New England thing, I think. So when I was a kid growing up, we never called it a sub. It was a grinder. We're going to go get a grinder.
I know in Philly it's split. A lot of people call their sandwiches cheesesteak.
Even if it doesn't have steak in it?
Steak and cheese sub, it's just a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
And you know, they got a few different things over there in Pennsylvania, how they do things. Do you ever know
torpedo. Anybody? John says torpedo. Now, where do they say that, John? I've heard that, but I haven't heard it that much.
I've heard of torpedo rolls. I've seen
torpedo roll. Well, that's the bread, right? Isn't that the submarine bread?
It makes
the torpedo. Down south, he says they say that down south. Growing up was grinder. Well, and so there was like for a drink, like a soda pop or soda. When I was a kid, it was tonic.
Yeah, tonic.
You want a tonic? Everything's a tonic. It didn't matter. Or a Coke. You want a Coke? It didn't matter what flavor it was. You could get an orange,
I'll quickly interject and tell you a story about tonic. When I went to basic training in the Army, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 1983, and they gave us a break for refreshment, right? And there's all stuff on tables, water and Cokes and orange soda and stuff like that. And I said to one of the drill sergeants, I'm going to go over there and get a tonic. And he stopped dead in his tracks, and he thought I was talking about stuff you put in your hair, like Vitalis or something. Like
Wild Root.
About getting an orange crush. Tonic, that goes in your hair. And you don't have hair right now, so why do you need tonic?
It's funny how, depending on what region you're from, how we have different names for the same thing, we don't typically here in New England say soda pop. I'm going to go get me a soda pop.
A cold pop?
That's pop is either down south or when you get to the Midwest, you're going to get a pop. Now we call it a soda. You want a soda? We don't call it tonic anymore. But when I was a kid, you want a tonic with that with your grinder? And it wasn't grinder, it was grinder.
No, I used to say if a grinder was an Italian cold sub, an Italian grinder. That's what I used to think.
Every sub when I was a kid, it didn't matter what it was. I'll have a turkey and cheese grinder, or I'll have a steak and cheese grinder.
We did a lot of.
And who knows where these names come from? I mean, how do you call a sandwich a grinder? What's it been grinding? You've been using that to grind something up, or I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's got ground meat in it.
Grind. Maybe that could be.
Yeah, lots of different types of sandwiches everywhere you go. Have you ever had a po' boy?
I have had a po' boy. So that's a down south thing too.
Yeah, that's like New Orleans.
And depending on where you go down south, a po' boy could have different ingredients in it. So when you go to New Orleans and you get a po' boy, that's got like shrimp in it. But I've had a po' boy that had like fish in it too.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been down to New Orleans a couple times, and the po' boys
Like a shrimp.
good.
But they put fish in there too.
Yeah, yeah. And depending where you go, they're it's like anywhere else. They're either good or they're not. Hey, Scott Smith is with us too. Hey, Scott. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button and share us out if you want. You are tuned to Practical Nonsense. It's practically good. Practical Nonsense.
We love our useless knowledge around here.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I've been able to memorize a bunch of useless stuff that I really can't do anything with other than blurt it out at times when people look at me funny. And I know, Bobby, you've been the same way. I think that's why the stars aligned and we were drawn together, because we both accumulate. Yeah, we both accumulate a wealth of nonsense.
Yes.
Like
doesn't serve any purpose to anyone.
Movie lines and stuff like that.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I think I was talking about that on we were talking about that in one of my live streams the other day, some of these horror movies, and I remember when that first came out, Night of the Living Dead. Well, not when it first came out, but I remember my brother Bobby and I seeing it on late night TV. We had a little black and white TV in our bedroom. We shared a bedroom at the time. And I'm younger than my brother. I may have been 6, 7, and horror movies wasn't my thing. So we're watching this movie and it horrified me. I was so afraid. And I can remember I couldn't sleep that night because we're in bed in our room, It's nighttime. My parents are downstairs. And I can remember after the movie was over, me staring out the window, and it was a moonlit night, and looking and going, I think I see a shadow. Is that it could be a zombie? Oh. And that one scene in the beginning when the brother and sister go to the cemetery.
He's just teasing her.
Yep. They're coming to get you, Barbara. He's like, yeah, the guy was coming in there. Who's that guy? He looks strange. Well, what's the matter, Barbara? Are you afraid of that guy? He's coming to get you.
I don't know if you remember, we were really little, but there was like a daytime soap opera that was horror. With Barnabas Collins. Was that Dark Shadows, right?
Dark Shadows.
That was really cool.
It was different because it was a soap opera.
It was like Safe Scary. And then, of course, we had Creature Double Feature. I don't know if that was nationwide.
Creature Double Feature, I think certain areas had their own version of it. We had... I think Dale Dorman, right? Didn't he do Creature Double Feature? That's one of the first ones. He was a local radio DJ out of Boston, WRKO, Boston. But Dale Dorman, he did Creature Double Feature, and that was all the real goofy horror movies,
all the old ones from the 40s and 50s.
Bride of Uncle of the Bride of Frankincense. The real goofy horror movies, or the
Godzilla versus Rodan, or Godzilla versus Creature from the Dark Lagoon,
and we loved all that. Clearly, it's a guy in a rubber suit.
Right.
We love
Frank and Jeep.
Alien Martians from the moon attack Earth or whatever that. I remember all those, like the Incredible Shrinking Man and the Incredible Growing Man, and giant ants attack the Earth, and it was all some effect of like some government radiation gone wrong or something.
There was all kinds of cool stuff. I remember a movie that was like a Creature Double Feature about these people that were going through the jungle, and this woman found like the fountain of youth or something, and she could keep making herself young. And then at the end of the movie, she just kept turning older and older and older until she died. I don't remember the movie at all, but I just remember like that was the kind of stuff we had. You know, these really off the wall, crazy movies that probably had a budget of $1,000, you know, to make a whole movie. Like you could look like a lot of them look like people just made them in their backyards or whatever, but they were
and a perfect movie that was, I want to say, more contemporary. It came out a long time ago, but was Mars Attacks, which was an adaptation, I think, of a comic book, a real comic book, Mars Attacks, about these egg-headed aliens that come down, these skull-headed aliens. And, that was more a satirical kind of version of that, which I think was good because it reminded me a lot of those movies that we saw when we were kids. All those crazy, again, the colossal man and whatever.
That's right. The colossal man and the colossal woman.
Yeah.
I think we had the UHF channels, right? You had the VHF and the UHF. And the UHF channels, we had a couple where you could watch just stuff like that. And then there was weird stuff like Doctor Who. They ended up seeing like things like Monty Python.
Well, Doctor Who. Yeah, we saw that on PBS is where I saw that stuff first. Monty Python, Doctor Who, like the original Doctor Who from the 60s.
That wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I loved the Monty Python stuff.
Of course. Who doesn't like Monty Python? I mean, that's just silly, good stuff. I seen an interview recently, or it was a clip of an interview with John Cleese, and this English woman, supposed journalist or whatever, was trying to get to rope John Cleese into like this whole woke thing, trying to get him to admit that Monty Python's humor was, picking on people and stuff. And he's like, wait, aren't we here to talk about whatever it was, the 50th anniversary or something? And why are you bringing that in? Who brought this up? Why did you bring this up? And she's like, well, I think, and he was like kind of poo-pooing it and just shoving it away. And he started talking again about just the comedy and that. And then she brought it up again. And he goes, I'm going to paraphrase, but he's like, I don't know why we're talking about this in this interview again, but I don't want to talk about that. So we're done. He took his headphones off and shut his Zoom off, and that was it. They try to reel you in to get into these controversial things when it's comedy.
Right. They try to compel your speech and get you to say something that's part of their narrative, right?
Scott goes
play along with my fantasy.
That's the Martians.
I reject your reality and replace it with my own.
Right. They going back to Mars Attacks, they killed the aliens by playing the Indian love song by Slim Whitman. And their heads would explode inside there. I think it was the Indian love dance or Indian love song or something by Slim Whitman.
Back in the day, my parents were so fortunate they got to see Slim Whitman and Boxcar Willie on the same ticket, the same show. Can you imagine?
They saw who?
Slim Whitman and Boxcar Willie.
Wow.
At the same concert. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. Wow.
Heard of Boxcar Willie?
They win them on the tickets on a radio show, or the back of a cereal box or something?
Well,
what's up, Tom?
Music. They saw people. My parents saw Waylon Jennings 3 or 4 times. Saw Merle Haggard. Saw all the.
I would have liked to see
Glenn Campbell.
I got to see. Well, you know me. I've never really been a big country fan until recently. I appreciate it more than I did when I was younger. But I got to see Charlie Daniels before he passed away, and he was 81 or 2 or something when I seen him, and wow, even at that age, what a talented guy! Could sing, could play that guitar, and play that fiddle like nobody's business. just awesome. I saw on that same bill, I saw Marshall Tucker. I saw Marshall Tucker Band, him, the Outlaws, and Travis Tritt. And
geez, that's a pretty good ticket.
Yeah, that was a pretty good show. That was up in Guilford, up at the there for the lake.
That's an awesome place.
But honestly, and Travis Tritt was the so-called headliner, and Charlie Daniels stole the show, man.
For sure, yeah. Oh, for
just
sure.
awesome. Saw Willie and Leon Russell together.
Oh, dude, you're speaking my language. Leon Russell.
I'd like to see Willie. I don't think I'll ever get to see him. And the prices of these shows these days, look, you've got to take out a mortgage on your house just to go see a show now. It's ridiculous.
I would have loved to have seen Leon Russell. He was.
I got to see who's the kid there from Georgia?
The whatchamacallit, he's got his band.
Yeah, you know who I mean. Zach Brown, yeah. I got to see him a few years ago. Let's talk about another talented guy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Real good. And they did Metallica. They did Metallica and they did Led Zeppelin when I seen him. They dressed up in
Halloween, the skeleton outfits.
They were skeleton suits and they had like the black lights on and there were just skeletons up there playing. I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Wish I thought of that. Yeah, and they did Enter Sandman, and they did what was this Kashmir?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Now, there's also a video have you ever seen the video where he does Sweet Baby James, and then James Taylor joins him on stage?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that.
Like, I thought it was cool because of the song that he picked. If you're going to do a James Taylor tune, that's an odd. I feel like that's an odd one to pick, but it's a great song.
That was probably a B-side when it first came out. I'm sure.
James, yeah, I don't think it was a.
It's a great song, though.
Yeah,
I mean, JT, how can you hate it?
Different guy. I think that's the great thing about James Taylor. He's not. There's nobody like him, or he's not like anybody else. You know, that's when guys are really legendary. When you can't point to anybody else that's, there's nobody that sounds or plays just like Jimmy Buffett. You lose these people and it's almost like you're losing a whole genre of music because there's nobody doing that like they did it,
No, and you're right. I mean, even country music is not what I thought or what I imagine as country music. Today's country music it's more rock and roll almost. It borders.
I say pop music, and they throw a violin and a fiddle in there. I mean, a banjo and a violin in there, and trick you. But
and even some of it borders on rap almost or hip hop-ish country like. And
all these guys,
whatever.
Just listing things, dirt roads and coolers full of beer, and I got a boat, and I got a hunting gun, and it's like, a lot of the country soul that was present in guys like Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and those guys, Hank Snow. I mean, the original founding fathers of country music. That it branched out, which is a great thing, but it branched out and became something that's not what the original was. So
there's still a few guys out there that are keeping it alive, but
yeah, I agree. Tyler Childers would be one.
Yeah, but I'm talking more of the older guys like John Anderson and who am I thinking of? This chemo crap has ruined my brain. I can't think. Who did Amarillo by Morning? Help me out. King George.
Clint Black?
George Strait. No, George Strait.
Oh, okay.
Tim McGraw's another one. They're keeping that old country alive. I mean, Tim McGraw but George Strait, absolutely. He's keeping that cowboy, the old cowboy country, the old style country still. Travis Tritt was good, Scott, when I seen him. Real good.
Good player, really good player.
Yeah. John says, I worked at Willie concert. A person in the audience was having a medical emergency. When we went in to get him, Willie said, if we didn't leave, he would walk off the stage. What?
Nice.
Well, Willie clearly didn't know what was going on. John's a retired fire chief, too, out of New York. So, but yeah, Dwight Yoakam, there's another one.
I tell you,
there's still a few around that are doing it. But, I mean, and some of the newer music, like, guys like Keith Urban and them, they're good. And it's I think you said it's more poppy. I mean, they don't
be a little bit more cookie cutter.
I like that better though than like the newer guys. And honestly, I couldn't tell you some of these newer country guys.
And again, there's guys
Luke Combs, I think, is one, and they're okay, but the music's just not the same.
Eric Church. There's some guys out there that are just supremely talented, but the genre itself is not what it used to be. And so
they don't hold a candle to Charlie Pride. I'll tell you that.
Sound the same, and I think that's one thing about today's music that I can say. I can hold this against the 70s. In the 70s, the thing everybody strived for or tried to attain was to be different. Because if you were different, then people would listen to you because you were different. And everybody didn't sound the same. Today, there's just to everything. You don't know who it is when you hear it. Is it this one or that one, or who is it? They all sound similar.
I mean, even there were crossovers back in those. I mean, even Elvis started out, he was supposedly a country artist, or Carl Perkins, right?
Right.
But they went over to rock and roll, so to speak.
Elvis and Johnny Cash started out together at the same time.
Yeah.
And they both started out doing country music. And Johnny Cash started to get away from country too, but then he realized, no, I do country best, so I'll just stay with the country. And Elvis branched out. Also,
yeah, well, Elvis, I mean, he did everything. He did popular music and standards, and I mean, he
right. He heard a song that he liked, he wanted to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And look at Willie. Willie wrote more hits for other people than he probably did for himself back in the day.
Willie Nelson wrote Crazy. So think about that for a moment. That was in 1955 or 56. Patsy Cline recorded that, and really made a career for Willie Nelson. I think.
Well, and you hear Willie sing Crazy, and it's good, but it ain't no Patsy Cline.
But you hear that song, you hear her sing it, and you're like, wow, that's an absolute masterpiece. And you go, funny looking dude over here wrote it.
Right. Well,
he sings all nasally like this, and he wrote this wonderful Rembrandt, Look
at him though. Look at him, pictures of him in the 50s and 60s. He was all clean cut and short hair, and wore a suit, and now he looks like he crawled out of a some gutter somewhere with a big fat blunt in his mouth. Which fine, I'm all for it.
At 90, still playing, still going at 90. God love him. It's not.
Yeah, we were talking. So in 2005, I left the fire service for a little bit, and I went to work down in North Carolina. And I can remember the richest family in town. We were working in the Outer Banks, and the town that we were in, it was as far south as you could go on the Outer Banks before you hit ocean, and you have to take a ferry out to Ocracoke Island. So the richest family in town, they owned like the store, and they owned the drugstore, and they owned a couple motels. And one of the place where we were working, we were tearing down. My boss had bought their property, and we were tearing down the old this old motel that got ravaged by one of the hurricanes. So the oldest member of this family, he had been there since the 30s. In fact, he started, his first business was they had these wooden side buses that in the 30s that they would do tourist stuff on the beach up and down. So it was old money. So he invited us to his home for dinner one night. So it's one of the places where I really developed a taste for whiskey, because we were sipping whiskey in the driveway, and we go into, we're sitting at the dinner table anyway, and the old duffer goes, "Hey, Jay, my boss," he's like, "Jay mentioned to me you're a musician. What kind of music do you play?" And I said, "Well, mostly rock and roll, but it's good music. It's nothing too crazy in that." And the son-in-law was at the table, and he goes, in this southern drawl, "As far as I'm concerned, there's only one kind of music, and that music is George Jones." And that was what he said. And I'm like, "Oh, and you don't want to say anything." I'm like, "Oh yeah, George Jones." And I had no idea who even George Jones was. I mean, I know who he is now, but I was a younger guy, and I didn't know country music. And I'm like, "Oh, George Jones, sure." Little did I know that, later on I found out that he was quite the rebel, one of the outlaws of country music. But
yeah, anti-hero, I guess. But
yeah, look at the guy. They took his license away for Dewey, and then he got another Dewey because he drove his lawnmower to the package store.
Only guy ever got a Dewey on his lawnmower.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
And
so funny.
And those guys back in the day, he was like the country music version of the Stones.
Oh, look at this. Tom, I had no idea. My niece just won a Grammy for writing a country album for Beyonce. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Yeah, you guys must be proud of her. That's great.
It's Bizarro world.
Beyonce doing country music is kind of kooky, but your niece writing a country album and then winning a Grammy for it, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
It's not exactly country, but Chris Stapleton stuff is really, yeah. I'm a big fan of Chris Stapleton. He is definitely a crossover. He's more of to me, he's right in line there with like Lynyrd Skynyrd and that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to compare them, but it's more of rock music or country rock, southern rock, I guess you'd call it.
I liked him more before he went solo, but I appreciate that the dude's got some serious pipes and stuff.
Well, and his wife too. I mean, she sings a
lot
of his harmonies, and she's a co-writer of a lot of his music.
Right.
They're very talented people. And hey, Ross from Orange Cone Vlogs is here. Hey, Ross, how you doing? Ross was telling me earlier he may have the coof. I hope not. Although today, yeah, you know the coof, right, Buddy Bob?
The coof.
The coof. COVID.
Oh,
the COVID, a cold. So the SARS virus is what it is. Her name is Cam. She was up against Chris Stapleton for a Grammy New Artist of the Year a few years back. That's awesome. Is she just goes by Cam? I need to look her up. Is she on YouTube or what is she? She must be on YouTube, right? Tom, drop her link. I'd be interested to listen. Yeah, Cam Country. That's her there, right? I'm guessing. That's awesome. I'm gonna check her out for sure. I always like new music, and honestly, some of the females these days are a lot better than the males. Lainey Wilson's another one who I enjoy some of her music. She's pretty good. But All right, cool. Yeah, well, you can drop her link if you want, for sure. But yeah, music is our life pretty much. Some of you guys missed the beginning of the show, but Bobby and we've been friends for almost 44 years, almost 45. And we met because of music. We're both musicians. We met in high school. And we actually won a battle of the bands. Our first winning, we were in a band together back then.
Kingston. And you had to play bass because there was like everybody was a guitar player.
Well, yeah. When I first got introduced to music, I had an uncle that influenced me, and he was a drummer. So I wanted to be a drummer. I want to be like Uncle Tony. So I was in elementary school, and you get a snare drum and you learn how to play it. And then I played in the marching band in middle school. Well, that wasn't cool. And having a drum set, it was very equipment intensive and expensive. And we had an old Sears and Roebuck's acoustic that my folks had bought for my brother, and he never played it. And it came with the Mel Bay guitar method.
Yeah.
So I learned a few chords, and this thing was like playing a friggin' log. It was like a tree limb for a guitar neck. It was, and the action on it was like 3 inches high. It was terrible, but I could muster up a couple of the easy chords, and then I was a guitar player. My mother bought me my first electric, and I had a little amp, and so when I get into high school, I'm a guitar player. Well, so was everybody else. I'm like, hey, you guys want to jam? Wow, we already got 3 guitar players. And I'd be like, geez, I just want to jam. And it was hard to find guys to jam with because everybody played guitar. So this mutual friend of Bobby and I's, this guy, Peter, he was like, hey, why don't you come with us after school? We're going to go jam at this guy's house. I think it was at Dave's house first. Maybe not. Maybe in your garage.
I'm thinking it was
but he goes, look, if you want to come and jam, you have to play the bass. The neck. He goes, because I think you played guitar at the time and Pete played guitar. So I'm like, he's like, we got a bass guitar there. I'm like, okay, I just want to jam. That's all I want to do is start playing music. And that became my profession for 30 plus years. I was a bass player. I never put it down. And I found more work as a bass player in bands than I did as a guitar player because everybody was a guitar player. There weren't any bass players. And I honestly, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I was a pretty good one. I got a lot of work.
Yeah, without a doubt. And me, I was on a guitar. I had a Hondo.
Hondo. That was my first electric, was a Hondo.
And I took a few lessons at Darren's Music, probably 3 or 4 lessons at Darren's Music. And then something happened. I was in shop class at Pinkerton. So I was in woodshop class. And this kid that I knew, who wasn't in my class, but I knew him from Chester School, Sean, he was a guitar player. And he wanted a guitar body cut. He wanted a flying V guitar body. And he had a piece of wood and everything. So he gave me the piece of wood. And I took it to shop class. And I cut out the shape of the guitar. And the neck slot and everything, we routed it out. And it looked pretty good. I never found out how it worked for him. But he traded me a Rogers drum set that when we first started playing together, was the
one that Dave played.
Yeah. And so I was learning to play the drums, and I was playing my records in the garage and playing the drums to him, and I was doing okay. I mean, I could keep the beat, and I, kind of had it figured out. But then Dave, my friend who lived down the street, he came over, and it seemed like the first time he sat on the drum set, he was already a drummer.
Yeah.
It was kind of like disappointing. Like,
right?
Oh, what am I going to do? Because obviously he's the drummer.
Dave was one of those guys, the friend that you had he was born with that talent.
Yeah.
You didn't know it.
He just sat on the drum set and could drum, and I was like, oh crap! Like now what do I do?
And even to this day, out of all the players that I've played with, and I've played with a lot, Dave is one of the best drummers I've ever played with.
He
naturally play as a drummer, and when he was trying to work out a part, he would sit there forever until he got it right.
Get it right. And the kid learned how to play Rush tunes, which and play them right. And I remember this. Here's a funny story. Like, I remember driving, and I had a Volkswagen Rabbit, and Dave would be in the passenger seat, and he's got drumsticks, and he's playing the drums on my dashboard to every song that comes on the radio. Rush, Zeppelin, Sabbath, whatever. And by the time I was done with that Rabbit, the dashboard was like beat to crap from him. But I remember thinking, man, he's doing it exactly right. Even though he's playing it on my dashboard in the seat and all that, he's not missing a beat. He's doing everything perfect. And it was like crazy. Now, I think personally myself, the best drummer I ever saw you with was John Apkarian.
By far.
John Apkarian is just an absolute rhythm master. I mean, he's a professional drummer. He's like, he's one of my favorite drummers, period.
I would agree with you there.
One of my favorite drummers, period. Danny Carey is on my list, but John Apkarian is there too.
My youngest son was a really great drummer for a long time until he had his accident. He was another good player, one of the better drummers I played with, and he was my kid. But yeah, Johnny by far is been the best drummer I've ever played with. Here's another one. He could play Rush songs perfectly and anything. And he was into jazz. He knew a lot of the rudimentary drums and stuff. He played traditional drums and
some of that came out when he was with Adam Ezra. A lot of the intros were really cool, different time signatures, the way he would get himself in and out of different parts of the song. He was just a rhythm master. The kid was great. And on top of that, Adam had percussionist, our good friend, the Turtle.
We had Jeff,
Another guy. The rhythms that were in his head, I think it had to be an encyclopedia of rhythm. He was just
some of the best times I had in bands was Turtle, John, me, and Adam. And every now and then we'd have some guest fiddle player or somebody come in, but they weren't really part of the band. And I had some. Well, and Bobby, you toured with us, so I had some of the best times ever as a musician was with those guys, and that was. For me, that was such an unlikely pairing because I just come out of playing in a heavy metal band, and here I am getting invited to play with this singer, songwriter, barefoot folk player guy. Right. I'm like,
you were trying to describe it to me, and I remember you were struggling to describe it to me because you was like, well, it's kind of like folk, acoustic rock,
and they call it Americana now. Is what the genre.
The one thing, and we're talking about the Adam Ezra group, and if you don't know them, please go online and check them out. They're wonderful. But I felt like if you told somebody about Adam and played them one of the studio albums, they just might not get it. But if they went to see him live, they get it immediately. Get it immediately. Adam is one of the best live acts that you could possibly go see. And I don't know about these days, but back in the day, it didn't always translate to the studio recording because there's so much live energy that he fed off of. And I'm sure you've heard this. I've heard from people go, wow, I saw Adam. They were amazing. What a show. And then the next day I put the CD in my car and I went, who is this? But live,
he's on Spotify. If you want to look up Adam Ezra Group,
even to this day, his live performances are worth it. If you
hell yeah,
town, you see that the Adam Ezra Group is playing, go see him. You won't be disappointed.
When I first March, April session of me being in the hospital, when they really kicked my ass with the chemo, Adam came to visit me. He brought his Martin and was going to leave it with me. And I'm like, dude, I can't touch it, because everyone had to come in with masks and all that. And I'm like, I'm going to have Colleen bring my own. But yeah, he brought a Martin and he goes, I'm going to leave this for you so you get something to play, while you're here. And I'm like, dude, I love you so much. That is just so awesome. He's one of the nicest guys on the planet. One of the nicest guys and caring people I've ever met. And he's such a talented bastard. He's so talented. And I like to say I played and knew him well. I met him. He was in his 20s, and I think he's 50 now. With two little kids, and yeah.
But he is a musical being. I mean, that's the best way to describe Adam. He's a musical being. He's a really neat person to get to know. He's a really neat musician. He does his own thing. He always has. I mean, lots of props to Adam Ezra, because he really had to be patient and keep going and doing what he was doing. And he stayed the course, and he's built a pretty good name for himself, a brand for himself, and the music speaks for itself. I mean,
yeah, it really does. And he's written music with John Oates, Paul Oates, and he's written some movie scores and all of that. I mean, the guy's he's a talented dude, and I'm proud to say that I was part of his band, and that I get to tour with him. We opened for the Goo Goo Dolls. Remember that?
Yeah, played in Vegas. Played on VH1.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, some
of the accolades.
But certainly he started out like playing in really small rooms. And
dude, small rooms?
His attitude was always the same, whether it was in a tiny room that was just hardly enough room to set up, and we did plenty of those gigs, or then when we went to bigger gigs. He never, the music doesn't change, he doesn't change. It's like I said, the kid's a musical being. It's worth it to check him out.
We went from playing places like Porter's in Boston, which is a real small, tiny little club, a little bar, where there was barely enough room for the four of us to be on stage, to play in Vegas with the Goo Goo Dolls.
Paradise. I remember that. I remember that. I remember the first time we played the Paradise, and we played in the front room, and it was small, and then
tiny. And
then Adam said a few days later, "Oh, we're playing the Paradise again." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "Well, we're playing the big room." And then
we played the big room.
We're playing the big room, really? Like at the time, I was like, "Wow, that's like you're going to be famous."
Yeah, and if you guys aren't familiar with the Paradise in Boston, that's as a musician, that's one of the places that if you get to play there, you're like, oh boy, we played the Casino at Hampton Beach. That's another place that all the players play there, and I've played there a couple times. I'm very fortunate as a musician to be able to be involved with some of the players that I've had the opportunity to play with, and a lot of the rooms that we played. And man, I played some shitty rooms, let me tell you. And I've played rooms. I've traveled 4 or 5 hours to play in a room for no people, 0 people. But so when you hear about the hard knocks, that the players they worked hard to build a following. I mean, I've been there. I've done that with several bands. Now I'm 61 years old, and I like to sing,
in the shower.
Sing in the shower. No, but the stuff that you and I had been playing, just cover songs and that. When I am fully recovered from this crazy cancer ride I've been on, I'll probably start going out and performing. Probably do it solo. I like playing with other people, but you get egos involved too, and sometimes egos clash. It's good to be able to just get up and play what I want.
if you pick the right songs and stuff, like one voice and one guitar is awesome. One voice and one piano. I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea to go out by yourself, and because there's plenty of things that you'd be able to do, even if you just went someplace and played. Joanne and I, my wife, we went to a restaurant last year with my parents somewhere in Concord, and I don't even remember the name of the restaurant. It was Italian, but there was an old guy, kind of retired, sitting in the corner away from everybody on a stool, playing his guitar, just playing, not singing, just playing. And this dude was smiling the whole night. Like
that's all I want to do.
I assumed he was retired, and he likes playing his guitar, and so there he sits in this Italian restaurant and just plays it. And the dude's like grinning, happy the whole time. I'm like, yeah, he's got the world by the short hairs, and he knows it.
Nothing like playing music. And look, I learned rose-colored glasses the other day, Buddy Bob. When would you ever think I'd be singing a song like that?
John Connolly.
Yep.
Rose-colored glasses.
And that's a great song, and I never knew it existed until about 2 months ago. What a great tune. I was in the hospital when I first heard it. I'm like, what is this song? I'm like,
he had a cool voice.
Yeah,
that really cool voice. Rose.
There's another guy where he had a writing partner, and they used to write for other country players, and then he started singing some of his own songs, and that was a big hit for him. I think he had a couple other hits, but he wasn't as big as a lot of the players. But
before they went off the rails in country music, sometime in the early to mid '80s, there was a guy called The Voice. And his name is Vern Gosdin, and he did a bunch of really good songs, and I just the titles and stuff are eluding me at the moment. But his nickname was The Voice, so you could imagine the dude could sing. And then who was the guy that died? He was a big hit in the '80s. He died. He was married to a super hot country singer, Keith Whitley. Do you remember Keith Whitley?
Keith Whitley, sure, yeah.
That dude, unfortunately, he died young, but man, what a talent. Not only a great guitar player, but a singer.
Yeah, he could sing.
He's just...
Yeah, who was his wife? He was married to...
Lori Morgan.
Lori Morgan, yeah.
That song that Allison, what's her face covered? You Say It Best When You Say Nothing at All.
Yeah.
His version, I mean, her version's good.
Well, his was the first version.
But
John, thank you, John.
He wrote it, and that song was like, I remember I was at a wedding and I requested of the DJ, and they go, "Oh no, we don't have Keith Whitley. We have the Alison Krauss version." I go, "No, that's okay." And I saw Alison Krauss, and she was great, but
of course,
I prefer the Keith Whitley version of that. But yeah, man, there were some guys that could just flat out sing. And if you haven't heard Vern Gosdin, please go look him up. You won't believe how that guy could sing.
Yeah.
And again, today, country music is just such a different genre than it used to be.
All of music, I think, all of music as a whole is not. And I hate to sound like my grandfather. You whippersnappers have no idea what it was like back in my day.
Not made the same way.
It's just not the same. And there's some good music that's being written, but music has become, I don't know, it's a whole nother thing for me. And honestly, so you know how I've been using AI? I've been writing lyrics and using the AI as my band. I honestly listen to more of the songs that I have written than I listen to the radio these days. I just assume put all that on, and I have several. And there's some instrumentals that I'll prompt AI to do, like growing up as a kid in a Greek household. Sort of a Greek household. Sunday mornings, there was an AM radio program out of Manchester, And it was all the Greeks, and they would play traditional Greek music. And I prompted AI to write some of that, and boy, it comes out pretty good. And I was cooking supper. It was Taco Tuesday last night, and I'm cooking supper to this Greek folk music. It was fantastic. Yeah, like I said, the music today, I don't know. It's just either I'm old or
I was going to say, I don't want to sound old. It seems like the soul, like the music is created like by machines, and the soul is not there. A lot. And again, I'm going to sound old saying that,
Right. I'm not familiar with Cliff Johnson. Do you know Cliff Johnson, Buddy Bob?
No.
I'm not familiar with him. But off Broadway, is he? It must have been a singer, I'm guessing, on the doing Broadway stuff.
Well, at the beginning of COVID is when we lost Charlie Daniels, but also John Prine at the very beginning.
John Prine. Yeah.
And, oh my goodness, and that is a musician's musician. If most of your fans are other musicians, that says something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, you and I growing up, we go see a band like Dream Theater, right? Absolute sausage fest, right? And if there's 3 girls in the whole audience, that's a lot for a Dream Theater concert.
Well, it's like going to a Rush show. It was all dudes.
John Prine, all the people in the audience are folk musicians.
And
he influenced so many people. When he passed away, the people that were doing tributes to him was mind blowing.
Well, from Bonnie Raitt to everybody. I mean,
Bette Midler's career was made off a John Prine song. Bonnie Raitt, one of her biggest recordings was "Angel from Montgomery." He just had a massive.
Hey, that was one of our biggest hits too, Buddy Bob.
Yeah,
and we did a good version of that.
And Adam is a huge fan of John Prine, and goodness, if you can't see the connection between those two guys, you're blind.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He writes music in a very similar way. John Prine wrote songs as if he was just talking to you. He was just a great talent.
So we've been at it for almost 2 hours, brother. I think I need to go to hit the bathroom and have some lunch and stuff, but not bad for our inaugural show. We had as many as 5 people in here at one time. We're back down to 2, but that's fine.
It seems like practical nonsense.
Yeah, it fits well. We talked a lot about music today, which is, one of our favorite things. I think we should do it again. Should we do this like weekly, every Wednesday, or?
I like that. It's a good start. Good way to start. And if you want to do, a weekend special or throw an extra Jeep in, we can do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that too. But I think for now, we'll play it by ear. I hope you had a good time, because you've never done this kind of thing before.
No, this is great. This is great. Well, you know that I like to talk.
Right? Well, the 2 of us, right? That was one of the reoccurring things on both our report cards from school was, talks a lot. Pleasure to have in class, but
lots of energy. Lots of energy. He needs to be prompted to shut his yap every once in a while.
Yeah. If he's a very creative guy, but he needs to stop talking.
Right.
There you go.
If I had a nickel for every shh I got in my life,
I don't know, huh?
I'd be like Scrooge McDuck, diving into the pile of coins.
The pile of gold coins.
If you dove off a diving board into a pile of coins, you're going to hurt yourself.
You're better off diving into bills than coins.
Yeah,
you'll fare better.
Yeah, Scrooge McDuck, he's got wings. He just saying, he's built for that. Yes.
So, I think we should do this next week. Buddy Bob and Jimbo, practical nonsense. come back for our live cast. And like I said, at some point we'll be on Spotify, and we'll be the audio versions in that will be out as well. So come and join us. Come and join us again. So we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, contribute to the nonsense.
There you go. Bye-bye, everybody.